Okay, cool. Okay, well, welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you here today on this, I think, very important topic. It's going to be very casual, although I have to admit that thanks to this talk today, you got me to brush my hair and put on some makeup. I think this is maybe the second day in like all this time that I brush my hair, and the second time I put in makeup. And it was also because I had to shoot a cooking video. But today I'm like, wow, thanks for everybody who's gonna watch us. I brush my hair. I don't know, how about you? But anyway, let me introduce myself, and then I would like to introduce my amazing friend, Deborah. Many of you know her, but I just feel like very blessed and grateful to call her my friend, and also one of my inspirations in many, many ways. So I'm Maru Davila, and I'm a recovered food addict. Also, I was a former professional yo-yo dieter. So for 30 years, I just fought with my weight, and that's all I cared until I had no health. And then when I had no health, I had no choice but to focus on it. I had been on about 5 years on antibiotics, on doctors, on a lot of, some hospital stays for severe infections. And then when I had to focus on my health, coincidentally, my weight became not a problem, because then I really said, I don't care about that. I'm just going to do whatever it takes to rebuild my health and get back to, I was physically and emotionally unhealthy. So I had depression and everything else. So that's about it. Today, my passion is food, and I still am a food addict, but I was able to twist it, and I'm addicted now to healthy food. And my obsession is just to inspire the world and teach the world about healthy eating that feels like cheating. That's what I think about every day. And I'm about to launch a YouTube TV channel to do that, in a more like formal and consistent way. And so I can't wait to share that with you. And now my adore Deborah Atkinson's fitness expert, founder of Flipping 50 TV. Can you introduce yourself, my darling?
Absolutely. So glad to be here with my girlfriend. So it's hard to keep up over here. I took a shower too, just to keep up with her. But I am the founder of Flipping 50, and that is hormone balancing exercise for women in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And it is the difference between actually feeling better and getting more energy from your exercise and simply dumping a lot of energy into it. So very similar, honestly. I could almost draw parallels with Maru's story about being addicted to food and being addicted to exercise, and being somebody who for years loved to exercise. And I would teach my own classes, I would train with my clients, and I would do my own workouts. And it wasn't until, the invention is the mother of necessity, or necessity is the mother of invention. Let's get that right. I was 49, and I decided I was going to create an online business after having a lot of success. And I was so excited about it until the day after I turned in that resignation letter and panicked. And what I realized over the next 14 months of really 20 minutes of exercise a day was sometimes the limit. That was it. Because I felt a sense of panic, and I had to make this work, because like I do so often, I jumped in with both feet at 49. And so there was some financial concern there. And what I found out 14 months later is I was in better shape. I was stronger and leaner than I had been exercising for hours a day. And I dug into all that research, and that's what became the After 50 fitness formula for women. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to do a shameless plug right now. I am both a little nervous to do this, but also a little excited. I waited 5.5 months for my TEDx talk to be live. And I think there may be a blessing in disguise, but I think it will be out today or tomorrow or this weekend at some point. So I'll be sharing that with all of you. So the title fits right in to what every woman in menopause learned about exercise may be a lie. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's exciting. I guess like Deborah said, she's been like me. I'm like Deborah. I was also an exercise addict. So I was either like starving myself or exercising my binges, meaning because if once I starved myself, eventually I couldn't resist it. So I would eat a lot. And then the next day I would starve myself and exercise like crazy. I was very obsessed with it. I think now I have a healthy approach, which, like I said, I'm not doing strength training in these crises, but I'm doing something. I'm trying to either go out at least and walk, but my favorite thing, and that's a personal thing, I love to run. So I run 30-minute intervals, and that's about it. That's a good day. And that's as much as I can fit in today. But again, I think I'm fitter than when I was doing, like, I think both you and I, Deborah, share that we've been, well, you were a little more than me, but I was also a competitive triathlete. I've done up to half Ironmans. We've done a bunch of Ironmans, which I respect, and I may do or not, but maybe later in life when I have time. But anyway, we both found some way to keep it balanced, right? So
That is so right. Hey, I would love for anybody here, so in the chat,
yeah,
can you identify with what we just said? Because I think for most of us, we've all experienced that, even mini binge purge cycles, right? So, that evening of overeating, overdoing, and the next day trying to over accommodate or take care of burning extra calories. So if you found yourself ever getting into a cycle like that, I would love for you to share that.
yes, that's a great idea. And don't feel bad. We've both been there, and there's a way out. And the worst thing I think in my experience is to try to fight it, or pretend it doesn't exist. So yeah, feel free to jump in anytime, and and we'll be happy to respond. But I think one of the main reasons why we started this, we've been having a lot of questions and a lot of interest about, like, everybody talking and joking about the COVID-19 15 25, whatever you want to call it, and is that something, I don't know what your take is, but is that something that we should care, or is it okay? And then obviously we talk about that. The main part of this thing will be, do we think, both from different perspectives, do we think it's a good idea to really focus on weight loss? Or if it is, or if it's not, how do you do it, at least from our perspective? So what do you think about these COVID-19 25, 5, 15, 20, whatever it is?
Oh my gosh. First of all, you just gave me a heart attack thinking about it. It's COVID 25. That's okay. That's even more than I've heard. So I'm like, oh my gosh, stop. So, I think with my audience and community, I've been talking about, it's realistic that what we were thinking about and concerned about 8 weeks ago, we still have those concerns. And I know in my audience, we're talking a lot about belly fat, and not enjoying the gifts that hormone changes have brought on for everybody. And now potentially we've also got the addition of, officing way too close to the refrigerator and the pantry. And I happen to be at the dining room table because I don't know why, but I've loved to work there all the time. So I think those concerns are huge. And, I think we both accept that that's reasonable to expect those goals are not going to go away, but that when we're all concerned about our immune systems, that we have to look at, did those two things, are they compatible? Can we seek weight loss and boosting our immune system, or do we need to really focus on one or the other? And can we have both? Like, don't you want it all if you have to choose between jewelry and a vacation? I mean, it's like, really? I have to choose? Let's get a 2-for-1. So, I'm going to toss it back to you, Mara, because I feel like, and I know everyone else is probably on the same page with me here, we may exercise once a day or exercise and move a little more frequently lately. But we eat multiple times a day. And, I think even a post you shared today with a kaleidoscope color wheel of where to get all those nutrients, we can be doing ourselves good, or not with every bite. So talk a little bit about our ability to boost our immune system with nutrition.
Yeah, so I think definitely to answer the big question is, in my opinion, and what I'm doing for myself, I'm definitely not focusing on weight. I feel like my main concern right now for me or anybody, even if you have a excess weight, should be your health, should be how to boost your immune system, how to give your your body the best chance to either protect, defend, or if you do get infected, to like really get out of it like without too much harm. That's my main thing. However, I want to stress in that, is gaining the COVID-19 25, 55, whatever you want to call it, a good idea? Let's start with that, because I don't think it's a good idea. I do think that you only want to gain weight if you're underweight, right? If you're under a healthy weight, that's when you need to focus, and you want to do it smartly. You're not going to do it with cakes and sugar and bread and all that. That's not a way, a healthy way to gain weight. I do think like we got to remember very quickly, I don't want to focus on the negative, but extra weight definitely leads to a variety of health issues, as I know, because I struggle with them for a few decades. It's not only physical, like I said, it was emotional, depression, anxiety, a lot of stuff that can affect you in many ways. But health-wise, it can be a lot of things like, increasing your risk of diabetes, heart disease, and today increasing your risks and the possible consequences of COVID-19, right? A lot of the people that are that we're learning that have died, unfortunately, most of them had certain underlying health conditions. So we don't want that, and so we know excess weight will affect us in that way. We also know that it will affect your emotional well-being and stress levels, which will then affect more your weight and more your stress levels, and on and on and on. And so your emotional well-being and stress is already taxed to the maximum right now with what's going on. So what you need to do in a moment of crisis is find a way to reduce the stress that you control. And this only stress that you control today is the stress that you're creating by the food you're eating. You can't control what's happening in the world. Everything is out of our control, and that's very that creates a lot of anxiety in everybody. And so the only thing we control is the other stress that we add to that, which we can't handle both. And then gaining weight, I think the other thing is it's also gonna definitely compromise your immune system. It's gonna definitely reduce your immune response for anything that comes your way. And so I think it's a bad idea. So what makes me a little sad is I've gone a few times to the store lately, and I found that luckily what I was afraid is that vegetables and fruits were not going to be available. So I had been stocking a little on frozen and dry just in case. But I found that it hasn't been a problem. What I found a problem is I personally don't, I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, corn-free. Those are some of the changes I had to do to recover my health, but that's, me. But some people in my family do eat other things, and if they ask me, I'll buy it. I could not find in any store flour or sugar. And so that's a little upsetting to me, because we've been cooking and doing those things for them once a week, but I don't know if some people are just doing it every day, what upsets me is not that they're gonna gain weight, although we said it will affect their health. What affects me is that they're not gonna feel as strong to navigate through all these things and handle all the stress, and they're also gonna compromise their immune system, increasing the risk. So that's one of the things that I say. Do you agree with this, or am I too far away?
No, I think you're absolutely on track. And I think just to back up a little bit, so other stressors that you can control, I think putting in the right food or the wrong food, right, either has a positive effect on your stress level or a negative effect on your stress level. But also, I want to talk about exercise, because that too, just the way we opened, can either have a positive or a negative effect on stress. So one thing I want to call attention to is that often when we talk about exercise, we often only talk about the health benefits of it, but your body sees exercise as stress. So if you imagine your body actually likes to be on the couch, and by that, I don't mean to tell you that you don't need to move. You do. But if you imagine it like playing a violin or flying a kite, so either of those have to have the exact right amount of tension in order to happen. So you play beautiful music if the strings are tuned to a certain tension but not too tight that they break, or likewise with the kite, you can't fly it if there's no tension. We need some. So sometimes when we say what's your stress level and somebody says, oh, it's a 5 or a 6, that's perfect, really, right? Because if you're at a 1 or a 2, my guess is you don't have very many meaningful things in your life. We don't want to be down there. We want, the meaningful people and things in our lives cause us some stress. And yet, if you were ever going to give a great performance, give a great speech, you were going to do your best work at school or at work, you're going to have a little stress because you've got a little skin in that game. And that's where you do your best work. And life is like that too. So you want the sweet spot for exercise. And what is the best for Maru, the best for me, the best for Anita or Susan or Kathleen, any of you here, is slightly different. But you're looking for signs that you're doing the right exercise. And right now, that may not be the same as it was 8 weeks ago. Because when you didn't have these additional stressors, and it's like we've all got this backpack on, and every little stressor you've got is like a brick in the back. So right now we've got COVID-19 going in the back, whether we like it or not. If you have a little bit more stress about maybe your job, your hours were cut, you don't have that job right now, or you're more worried about customers or regular traffic, that could be a brick here. If you're worried about family members or your own health, that could be a brick. But exercise too is a brick, and yet carrying a little bit of weight is okay as long as it's back there, not on your belly, right? And so it's looking for ways to identify if I'm not in the sweet spot, I'm doing too much. And I can talk about some of those signs and symptoms and looking for ways that, yes, I'm actually right where I want to be. So think about how you respond when you're stressed. If you tend to get cravings, you tend to want to eat the house, right? You tend to want to go to the refrigerator. You feel like it's calling me. It's always calling me, then if you're exercising too much, you may experience that a little bit more. And likewise, on the flip side, if you're exercising in your sweet spot, you'll notice your energy level and your appetite are more stable, and cravings are really non-existent. You feel less need to fill yourself up with that because you're just not on edge. You're in the right level. And so I'm going to give you a little tip here on exercise. So right now, not doing the same workout you did 8 weeks ago might mean instead of exercising for an hour, exercising for those 30 minutes. And if you like to do more, split it up and do 30 minutes of interval training in the morning and go for a light walk or do yoga later in the day. You can do weight training early in the morning and, go for a walk or a bike ride later in the day. You can do multiple sessions that are shorter, and that actually is one of the best ways to boost your immune system and stabilize blood sugar. So those little things keep the stress level down that volume of exercise can bring up.
How small would those, because I agree with you. One of the reasons why at different times I stopped exercising was I used to be all or nothing. If I didn't have 1 hour, because I thought 1 hour was the secret thing, and I wouldn't do it. But then I learned that I could do like little more often. What would be how little is little? Like if you do, how many minutes, and then how often would you say?
Yeah, so if we were really going to write an exercise plan for your week, I'd love to plan that you're doing some kind of cardio movement, if it's low level or it's high intensity, for 20 to 30 minutes. And yet don't discount little breaks. If you've been sitting at your desk right now for a couple of hours, get up and even move 5 minutes vigorously right there. Exactly. Move and some blood flow into your system, break things up a little bit, turn on some music, dance around. There's a lot of value in those little breaks as well. And one of the things that I've been telling my audience all 8 weeks here or six, we've been in this, is do the 10-minute rule. And that is, even if you're not quite feeling it, though you've been scheduled to exercise, go for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes you feel like, okay, I do feel better, I'm going to keep going, then do. If at that 10-minute mark you're still feeling like, actually, I'm just more tired than anything, that's your body just telling you maybe today you do need a rest, but you've also messaged yourself that you are someone who's consistent about their exercise plan. You've gotten it in, and you'll try again tomorrow. And what you might need today is more rest. And so listen and give yourself a little grace right now.
That's great. I have to say that I've become over the last few years like a detective. I love to just always be monitoring, like, what does this food do to me? What does this activity, what does this habit? Like, so for example, one thing I can tell you about exercise, again, I'm just doing what I can, maybe not every 7 days a week, but at least 5 days a week, 30 minutes. It's between walking and running because there's some hills involved. But I noticed that those days that I skipped, like, I'll tell you what happened. The day that I skipped, I felt a little moodier because, again, remember, you just said we have all these stressors on top of us, right? It's all this weight on our backpack that we can't get rid of. It's the amount of work, the uncertainty, the everything that every one of us has. So I felt a little less positive outlook. I felt a little depressed. And then what I noticed, so I skipped today, right? Today I didn't skip today, but assuming like I did, if it was today that I skipped, today would have been a moody, not so happy day, like more like gray. And then the next day when I did start, or 2 days later when I start, I noticed myself more tired than when I was going like every day. And so my next thing was like, it felt like I had run like 2 marathons the last 2 days when I had done nothing. So what I've noticed, at least in my case, under these times, remember everything's different, is that not exercising makes me more tired and moody, right? So that's one thing. And so there, I don't know if you're okay. So I wanted to focus on the food side of like how we can boost our immune system. So definitely not a good time to think about weight. The good news is that if you follow some of these tips, guess what? Like, it happened to me when I stopped thinking about weight, the weight came off. So don't obsess with weight. Let's focus on what your body needs. If you really give what your body needs, your body will get rid of what it doesn't need, right? So I think the first reason, we definitely don't want to diet is because the immune system, which is our number one priority right now, and our happiness, right? We don't want stress, and stress comes from like dieting and depriving themselves. Plus, I'm personally, after 20 years or 30 years of yo-yo dieting, I'm really against diets and the deprivation. I just feel like we got to find what works, but it should be pleasant. Deborah, you talk on something, and that's one of my main guiding principles about everything you put in. And so my guiding principle is simple. Every bite I take has to count for 2 things. The first thing, it has to taste good to me, and it has to make me happy, meaning I'm enjoying. I'm not like let's say if you don't like celery, I mean, you shouldn't eat celery, right? You shouldn't be just having a diet of celery. You have to find a way to prepare food or eat the healthy foods that it tastes good. So I like to have fun too, and I like to be excited about my meal times. And the second thing, it has to be good for me in one or another way. It has to nourish my body. It has to give me energy. It has to do a bunch of things. So that's what I guide. So what's important now for everybody that's watching is, I think the first thing is we want to reduce inflammation. Inflammation, which is the leading cause of all disease, and especially right now, we don't want to have our body, on chronic inflammation, very stressed out, and our immune system on fight mode all the time. Because if and when we get infected with this or other things, it's just gonna be a worse outcome. So we gotta keep our immune system happy and strong, right? And so the first thing to reduce inflammation is you wanna minimize or avoid those things that do create inflammation. Unfortunately, I'm not the most popular person, but sugar, flours, breads, cakes, cookies, processed foods, simple carbs, all those things are going to create inflammation. They're also gonna affect your blood sugar and a lot of things, but let's talk about right now inflammation and immune system. The second thing, so once you decide, okay, and start little by little. If you are addicted to those and you're doing a lot, maybe start cutting a little. Before you know it, you will cut a lot. I've always thought that small steps lead to big journeys. So don't think you have to do it all at once. Every little improvement counts. Second thing I would say, I would maximize on nutrient dense foods. You want like enough clean proteins, you want lots of veggies, you want complex carbohydrates, you know, sort of like some of the grains or legumes or some of the more high carb veggies. I also want to focus on some immune boosting foods, and I prepared a list of some of my favorites. For sure, lots of plant-based. You're not going to do wrong by increasing the amount of anything plant-based that you have, but I'll give you a few examples that you can try to like include more often than not right now. So lots of fruits with high vitamin C. Like you can start, for example, citrus fruits like lemon, lime, and all the similar like orange. Those are great sources of vitamin C. But you can start like every morning if you have availability. You can do I always start with a cup of warm water and half a lemon. And then being Mexican, I forgot to mention that, but if you couldn't tell, I'm Mexican. We eat lots of lemon and lime. So I have no problem, I think, with vitamin C. So I put it in everything. But if you don't, then try to see how you can do some maybe sugar-free lemonade or just eat it. You have berries. Berries are also great friends for providing vitamin C. Kiwis, great if you like it. Oranges, grapefruits. And then we have some vegetables that are like key fighters for helping your immune system and also your hormones. We'll talk more about hormones in a second, but broccoli, bell peppers, all your green leafy greens like spinach, arugula, any other leafy greens you can access or find. Those are great. Sweet potato could also be a great thing to consider in moderation because it has a lot of carbs. And right now, given that most of us may not be as active as normal, you want to like mind your carbs. Carrots are also great. And then here are some like easy ones that you can add in everything. Garlic, I love to say this. And I was on TV, Deborah, once, and I said, and it was funny because I said, a garlic a day keeps the doctor away. And the host says, yeah, and all your friends too. I'm like, depends who your friends are. So I personally like to hang out with garlic eating friends because I would not be able to not eat garlic. My husband loves garlic, so I have no problem with that. But anyway, if you have a problem, I'm sorry for you, but it definitely boosts your immune system. I think we eat so much garlic. I personally, knock on wood, I haven't had the flu or any cold for like I think 4 years, and I used to have a cold and a flu like every month when I was like on that chronic state of inflammation. I would just get sick every month. It was crazy. Ginger is another great thing that you can add. Oh wait, garlic, you just add, I just do it for anything. I saute my veggies and put garlic. I put it on everything. Ginger reduces inflammation. You can do also, add it to your veggies, add it to your smoothies, whatever. Turmeric, love turmeric. Lots of way you can use it. It's good for inflammation and blood sugar. And then you have a variety of nuts and seeds that you can do. One of the great ones right now to think about, which comes from Mexico. Yeah, Mexican superfoods. Go Mexico. Sorry, that's an advertising. Pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds in Mexico are very popular, and it's called pepitas. And they're very high in zinc. So, right now zinc is one of those minerals that will definitely help us as far as our immune system. Then you can do almonds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, beans, lentils, green tea. And then those are, already a big list. But I think also adequate sleep, big necessary thing. I can tell you, I told you like I haven't gotten sick like in 5 years. I did actually get a little cold twice, only those times where I skipped on sleep. I started like cutting my sleep because I had these twice, I had deadlines. I had a couple projects that I decided to like just go up for it and sleep less than 5 hours for about 3 nights in a row. And those were the only 2 times, Zara, that I got sick. So adequate sleep is very important, and also important for your cravings that you mentioned, and we can talk a little more later. But sleep will set up a cycle of more cravings, which will set up more cravings, and on and on. And I think, like you say, staying active, drinking in moderation if you can. I understand it can be hard at times, but definitely think about your alcohol. And moderation is the key, because it can also affect your immune system. And then managing stress, that's something, it's in our control, and we have to be proactive in that, because again, remember, the stress we can't control is out there. What can we do? Can we control how many people are going to be infected or die? No. Can we control whether we will be infected or not? No. But we can minimize the chances or maximize the chances of getting out of this fine. But the stress we can. So some ways I am doing it, and maybe you can share what you're doing. I'm using my essential oils very often. Like, I have these essential oils that I just breathe and when I'm getting overwhelmed or when people are driving me crazy. And then I also take a lot of teas that help me with stress. I've been meditating. I'm doing a meditation in the morning. And then definitely my running, I'm not doing it because of weight or whatever. I want to be the fittest right now. As I mentioned, running is my way to manage my stress, because that's my happy moments. It gets all my hormones in balance, and it gives me a better chance of dealing with whatever stress comes my way daily. So last but not least, if you followed some of these tips, they are a lot, but they're not a lot. It just took me a long time to say it. But you will definitely I know everybody wants to be at a healthy weight, wants to look good, feel good, and all that. I don't criticize that. I like that too. But if you eat this way and just focus on what your body needs, you will see some definitely good results in weight. You'll start feeling a lot, better about yourself, and your body will start just shining more, right?
Fantastic. Yes, such great tips. I'm so glad you dug into all of that. So just to echo a little bit of Maru, we probably are going to sound like Siamese twins here, although I am not from Mexico. So there's that. But, every day I'm a smoothie girl, and I love to have one for breakfast. I've probably done that for about 26 years, but I'll also do one post-exercise, potentially, depending on my day, but putting things in it every day selectively for turmeric, putting in the ginger, looking at extra greens. So ways to get more chlorophyll and things that help your body just naturally detox, not necessarily going through harsh anything, but helping and supporting your immune system in every possible way. One of the things that I've noticed with a lot of the midlife women who I'm working with, and I've had a career of 36 years where I've worked with everything from high school volleyball players to 96-year-old. I need to get up 6 times to go to the bathroom and to dinner, and that's all I want to do. So I've got the gamut of experience. But what I've noticed in taking exercise to shorter bouts of either high or low intensity exercise and spreading them through the day is that most of my clients are noticing that they actually are sleeping better, that they're not so dependent on, well, I did this and so I can eat that, which we started talking about kind of a binge per cycle. And although that is not, that kind of thinking is easy to creep in, but when you're doing a more moderate amount of either high intensity or low intensity exercise, you're not so dependent on feeling like, well, I owe myself this because that was so hard. It's over before you know it, and you feel better. Your mood is boosted. You've got more energy the rest of the day. So it is a 2-for-1. If you focus on that immune system, instead of focusing on weight, you end up attracting what it is you're thinking about. So if you're thinking about, I'm going to boost my immune system, I am getting stronger, I'm eating this because it reduces inflammation, it's helping me feel healthier, focusing on it and thinking, I'm going for this exercise because here's something to remember. After a bout of vigorous exercise, so you get breathless or you lift weights enough that you reach muscular fatigue, you have boosted your immune cells, your immune system cells by 5 times. So just that immediate acute response, if you repeat that a couple times a day, how powerful is that? And it's not extreme exercise. It's actually not being there so much. Shorter, you can go hard and you can also go light. And the balance is so, so very good.
Deborah, one thing I would like to add to what you said, which is very valuable, is that I've
Yeah.
also noticed that some days have been more stressful for me than others. I'm sure you all relate to that. So some days I'm not feeling my best. It's not anything I did or anything I ate. I'm just not feeling because just whatever the stressors of the day just got me. And what I've done is I just like still go and I'll do it because I remember I will feel happier, better, less whatever stress. I will have more exercise throughout the day, but I just don't push myself. If I don't feel it, I check with me and I know I'm being honest. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling energized. I'm not feeling strong. So I do a version of that. And when I'm feeling strong and energized and good, I push myself a little. I challenge myself, but I don't do it at the expense of, my hormones and all that, because I think when you're already feeling stress and you stress yourself too much beyond what your body's capable or wanting to do that day, I think it just backfires. So be okay. I mean, if one day, like let's say me who loves to run, if one day I just feel like going for a walk or just whatever, it's very like I will do that, and I know I will feel better. So be patient and kind to yourself, right?
So good. I've got a question from Susan. We should both answer. So Susan asks, how do you force yourself to drink enough water?
Mm-hmm.
You want
So
to go first?
So yeah, I can say I think water is another key thing that we want to do to keep our whole health in balance. So the way you do it is, I think for me, it's just keeping something in front of me, because if I don't, I will be lazy to go get it or whatever. So just keep something at all times. And then when I don't feel like drinking water, just drinking tea, adding, just being creative. Like I've done, for example, I told you I have obviously they're pure and you can consume that, but I have some essential oils. Sometimes I add those to my hot water. Like I add peppermint and a little drop of stevia or something like cool that will help my digestive system and also give me some more liquid. I mean, coffee doesn't count. I do drink coffee, but coffee doesn't count because that dehydrates you. But then the other cool ways you can do a lemonade. I love like chia lemonade, which gives me a boost of energy. Chia seeds are great for energy and fiber. And so I put like, let's say 1 or 2 teaspoons of chia in a bottle, and then water, and then lemon, and then some sweetener. I use sweet leaf stevia, just a little. You can also put just a few drops of another sweeter fruit, like orange or something. But I think that's what I do. I just keep it in front of me at all times. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. How about you?
Yeah. So one of the things I've been doing, and I remembered that I first did this when I'm living in Scottsdale, Arizona right now, just to give everybody a little background or backstory. I was living in Boulder, Colorado, and had moved from the Midwest for about 5 years. When I first moved out there, I really had to be careful to drink enough because I was living up at about 6,800 feet. And so with the altitude, I needed more water, and I had to actually remind myself and getting to the habit of every hour I was drinking at least 8 ounces. I've started doing that about 6 weeks ago again, and I've always been a good water drinker. But what I'm doing is, because I'm right here in the kitchen, so I've either got a glass right beside me or it's right there where I can see it. And if it's full, every hour I will get up and drink a glass. I fill it back up and sitting right there again. And I'm doing that right now. And about 5 times, I'm also taking vitamin C. So rather than dosing myself all at once, which can be hard on your system, I feed it throughout the day. So I've bumped up my vitamin C intake, and that's helping. But I start my day with a tall glass of 12 to 16 ounces of water. That's the first thing I'll do. I will have either, a cup of mug, let's be honest here, a big mug of coffee or matcha. But between, if I have two, I'm having another glass of water. So it's always, there's more liquid going in. I'm gonna throw out a little wrench in your quote. So I don't want you to relax, everybody. Coffee doesn't count by itself, but somewhere between 8 and 10 years ago, the guidelines changed. Actually, all liquids count, even those that have caffeine in them count toward hydration. You don't want to get caught in doing too many of those that are actually diuretics, but some of that does contribute to your hydration level. So I got to say, we have to call that. But here's the thing. So the question was, how do you force yourself? And I think you have to help yourself get in the habit. But once you do, I don't think it's a force yourself, right? Because you'll begin to feel like, I want to do that. Like, I'm actually thirsty, and that feels so much better. And as soon as you start to notice your skin is more hydrated, your digestion, and Kathleen commented on that, it gets your system flowing so much better. Your entire body, and exercise feels better, but your entire body is happier. And once you get there, you don't have to force yourself so much. It just becomes a part of who you are. And you feel so differently negatively if you don't. That what I would recommend, if it feels like you're forcing yourself, is keep track for a few days of how much are you taking in right now. And rather than trying to jump to 8 ounce glasses, or even half of your body weight in pounds in ounces, just start to close that gap. One more cup a day, hold it there for a whole week, and then one more cup and hold it there for a whole week. So your body will gradually adapt to it, and you won't be in the bathroom nearly as much as if you try to jump to getting a quota. And it will feel better. It won't feel like it's sitting in your gut.
That's very helpful. One of the questions, Deborah, that was at the beginning, Susan said, it's tough being home all day and staying out of the kitchen. I agree. And so that was one thing that we've been asked a lot, right? And maybe you can share some tips. I'll tell you one thing is,
Yes.
I think the way I think about it is I try not to leave myself hungry. And I tell this also to my daughter too, you gotta think about what you eat, because if you don't eat well, then you're gonna be hungry in a few, and there's my daughter. You can agree, Charlotte. I love that she just jumped on the screen and put on, but I always tell her, you gotta really eat how you start your day, whether it's remember, breakfast is how you break the fast. So it can be breakfast in the morning, it could be breakfast at lunch, depending on what type of, we all have different eating strategies, but the first meal of your day, whatever time, matters. And it matters what you put in your body, right? And so one of the main things I think about is I want to keep my body and my cravings and everything satisfied. You satisfied your cravings by providing the right nutrients. For example, you want sufficient protein. Sometimes hunger and cravings is lack of protein, could be. You also obviously minimize or avoid completely those sugar, processed foods, simple carbohydrates, that what they do is they just increase your blood sugar really fast, which makes your body create this hormone that we all know, insulin, which is a good hormone because it brings the sugar levels down so that high levels of sugar don't damage our cells. But it's also bad because that's the fat storing hormone. And so as soon as the body sees a big influx of sugar and all these things, it will say, hey, help, get the soldiers to bring the sugar down. And what that will do is that will then bring your energy down, you know, crashing down fast, as opposed to a natural up, use it, down, time for your next meal in 4 to 6 hours, hungry again. That's normal. It's going to be like up, I'm happy, down, I'm hungry, moody, and starving, like in an hour or two, right? Because you didn't eat the right things. So you want to think about adding enough protein. You want to think about adding at least a healthy fat, because healthy fat will not only help you burn fat, it will help you also control your mood and, you know, keep your brain healthy, but it will also keep you satisfied between meals. So I always think about, like, if I ever forget it, I know, because I will be probably hungrier sooner. And so I think about that. And then you also want to load up with the nutrients, because a body that's deficient in nutrients is going to be craving stuff. And it's not going to tell you, give me more broccoli. It's going to tell you, give me more sugar, give me a bread, give me, right? It's going to tell you that. So I think you want to think about just first of all, like keeping yourself like nourished. I bet you if you come to my house, I hope you one day come, you know, any
What
of
time? What time should I be there?
I know, I can't wait. But if you ever come, you know, eat one of my meals, it's not going to be small. I'm not about like little things. I'm about giving you lots of things, but you're going to feel light. You're going to feel satisfied. You're not going to feel heavy, and you're going to probably not be able to eat your treats between meals, because I'm going to completely like load you up with nutrients, right? So that's one of the main things I would say. During the day, the other thing is, like, if you get this craving, think about how could you eat better in the next meal so that you have less cravings. Also think about it. Am I craving? Am I really hungry? Then you got to think about how you ate and how you can eat better, right? If you're not really hungry, if you really ate well and you're hungry, then you got to question, am I really, really hungry? Maybe I need to add a little more protein, or a little more fat, or a little more of substantial vegetables. I don't mean vegetables. When I say vegetables, I don't mean lettuce, right? Lettuce is like water. You just need to have it, right? Or any of the greens, but it's not vegetables. That's not going to keep you satisfied. You need some more stuff, like with significant fiber and lots of a variety of nutrients, like, you know, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, whatever you like, right? And then the other thing you need to do, okay, if you already said, oh, well, I did it right, then maybe it's just emotional hunger. So you can give yourself the benefit of the doubt and say, well, let me try. I'm going to drink a big glass of water right now, or tea, or whatever, like, you know, you feel like you can do, and see if that takes care of it, right? And then if that doesn't take care of it right now, in these times of the being in our homes, you can say, well, I'm going to get active. I'm going to go for a little walk, if you're able to go outside, or I'm going to do something. I'm going to dance. And I bet, like, if you do the water and know that, you probably are not going to be hungry. And then if you are, then eat something healthy. You can eat some cool snacks that I like to, for my daughter too, Charlotte, yes, Charlie, as she says, what I have is I have healthy snacks. And so, you know, her body is different than mine, right? I forgot to say that I'm also flipping 50. How old did I turn, Charlotte? Am I 52? I'm 52?
Yeah, you're 52. You lost
Okay.
track of your own age. Wow.
Oh, sorry. So I am 52, and obviously different than her, but she needs a lot more things. So we can have, like, let's say some nuts, some seeds, some fruit. Like I love apples with a little almond butter, because I like fruit with some little fat or protein, because that way you get like a sustained level of energy and all the nutrients you need. You can also get, I love like today I prepare a little chia pudding for Charlotte, and I can prepare a variety of things. You can get a few slices of avocado. Those are also great emergency snacks if you're truly hungry after you tried all those things. Those things are not gonna like affect your blood sugar or your inflammation or your immune system. If you're hungry, eat. You don't need to starve yourself, right?
Yes, so good.
And then one last thing I want to add.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself and don't have a lot of temptations. I mean, I wouldn't be able to resist. I mean, I guess I'm in a different stage because I'm so committed to my health and understand how how sick I can get if I eat those things that a lot of people like. And so I don't do that. I'm very conscious of trying to keep myself healthy for my daughter. You know, I'm not that a young mother, so I gotta work harder at staying good for her. And so I would say that, but you know, having those things that you are addicted to and that you like and that that you can't resist, it's hard for you. I wouldn't be able to resist it either. So try not to have them, or have them just once a week and then deal with it and throw them away, give them away. But do you find yourself that isn't it hard to resist if you see it in your face all the time?
Yeah, oh, I definitely think that. And I think I would have to say it's probably easier for me. So I know that if you're at home and maybe suddenly there are more people under your roof who don't all have the same goals and intentions that you do, there may be more things around you that are you're not used to having to avoid. Couple of my clients gave me examples over Easter holiday. You know, one of the things they wanted to cling to was traditions, you know, and so if carrot cake was a tradition, or, you know, doing the chocolate things, even for adult children, was a tradition, they were doing that, but then they found that there's too much sugar in the house. And so Monday morning, they pitched it. They didn't finish it, because that was really important to me. When they said, I got rid of it, I was like, could you define that? I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, did you eat it all or did you throw it away? Right? So I do think you're, you know, exactly on the same page with my thought process. And if you find you've got lots of cravings, that is usually your body telling you you're deficient in some micronutrient, you're not getting it, or there's something called the protein theory, that if your body doesn't have enough protein, it will continue to tell you it's hungry. And it won't necessarily be saying, I need a piece of salmon. You know, it will be telling you, I'm hungry. And it's up to you to kind of distinguish, what is this about? It's a clue. But that comes back to, when you have a meal, have a meal. Don't have a meal thinking, what can I eat that's the fewest calories, or what can I eat that's just super small so that I'll lose weight? Because then I think our mentality is we want to pay ourselves back, that, oh, I hardly had anything, so I can have this and that, have this and have that. If you want to help yourself right now, both with the immune system, but helping yourself just to naturally burn more fat, is have 3 good solid meals. And then you won't need, or, you know, want to potentially snack between, because you'll have the protein and the fiber that comes from all that goodness, and you won't be craving it. And that 3 to 4 hours between meals, that's when your body is just starting to burn fat more. So if you can keep those time periods and reinforce for yourself, you know, I'm feeling a little bit hungry, reinforce yourself by thinking, you know what that is? That's your body starting to burn more fat for fuel. So rather than snack as you prep dinner, see if you can you wait 1 more hour till it's ready, because you're doing yourself a lot of good in doing that. And so mentally just reinforcing all of those little things. Sit down and have your meal. Maru said that first thing is, I have to enjoy it. I have to like it. Don't just eat it. There's, you know, for anything you don't like, there's probably 24 things you do that you can substitute. So really sit down and have pleasure again in your food. That is so important.
Yeah, no, that's true. And so we're almost at the end of our hour, and not that we need to leave right away. We can answer any questions, but I wanted to cover the hormones game. And so all of us that, you know, any of you who are like, I guess, close or about 40 or whatever, 50, you know, you may have had some encounter with hormones. And even if you're not that age, hormones are, you know, essential for our bodies and our brains and our moods to operate correctly. And I guess what I can say from the food stand is that what you eat will definitely impact your hormones. And also I would like to get from Deborah, has been specializing a lot on this, and it would be great to get tips from you, including exercise, and how the wrong exercise or the wrong time can unbalance our hormones. And unbalanced hormones, if none of you have experienced it, is not good. It's will affect how you feel, how you look, and how much weight you put in like in a second. And again, I'm not obsessed with weight, but it's not fun to do nothing and then suddenly like get these huge, up, and that it's nothing but hormones out of control.
Yes. So just a couple tips. I'll give you those so that I don't overwhelm you before we hop off. But, number one, if you're already tired and fatigued and you've got a little bit more stress that's contributing to that, just listen to it. So the number one creed in Flipping 50 is restore before more. So don't start trying to overcome what you might have eaten in the past and overcome that with burning a lot of calories or exercising. If you're really tired, start just doing some walking, move more, but not necessarily overload yourself with extra exercise until you're rested. Give yourself some time to rest. And then once you're there, you're feeling like, okay, I've got plenty of energy consistently throughout the day. You want to remember intense early and light late. So if you're doing those intervals, try to do them early in the day. And everybody's schedule is so different. I think some people feel like they've got more latitude and they can exercise almost any time now. Others are actually more busy because their businesses are digital. So I won't assume that everybody is the same. But if you can get even 10 minutes of higher intensity exercise early, fantastic. And that might include interval training or weight training. And then later in the day, the later it is, especially kind of mid-afternoon and on, lighter exercise is better. So that's when you want to start turning into yoga or Pilates would be fine. Going for walks, but not necessarily thinking a certain distance or heart rate or breathlessness. You're just enjoying your walk and moving. Bike rides, golfing, gardening, those types of activities. If you have an old dog like mine, great. If you have a young, spry dog that needs to run, not in the afternoon, take them earlier. So those will help you balance because you're actually working with your hormones as they work naturally. Cortisol is higher early in the day and you want to work with it. And as it comes down, we want to start doing more calming kinds of exercise because that will help you sleep in the night. And we've already talked about how that begins the cycle. If you sleep better, you have more energy the next day. Your appetite is in your control as opposed to sending you messages about cravings. So following those is very helpful. And here's a question I'm getting asked a lot more frequently lately is, what if I was going to exercise in the morning, but I didn't sleep? Do I exercise? I'm not feeling good. I want to skip it. Here's my recommendation, and that is, yes, exercise, but don't do your plan A. So if normally you'd love to go and do those intervals and you're doing those hills and running, for instance, plan B would be, I'm going to go out and go for a walk. And maybe I'm going for a shorter walk, but I'm still going to get it. Keep that appointment with yourself, because what you'll be doing is making sure that you sleep well that night. And if you can get outside, you're exposed to sunlight. That's also helping to stimulate melatonin for evening production so that you can go to sleep. That's your sleep regulating hormone. So do move. Even 10 minutes of exercise a day increases self-reports of quality of sleep by 33%. That's a pretty good ROI, right? Mm-hmm. So little tips to kind of keep you moving.
Yeah, and then even if you're very busy, because we all are busy with stuff, like I always say, like, let's say I didn't have time to do my favorite, like, super happy moment run, sanity, keeping sane, like that's what I call it, a run. And then you could always say, like, if you had a big cleaning day, right? Because we have like all these intense cleaning days and lots of laundry and dishes. You can always do like those things and then take a break and do like a minute of like jumping jacks or whatever, I don't know, or just dance or do squats, I don't know, whatever. And that will get your heart up, and then keep doing the stuff you don't like as much, and then do that. You'll find you may have done like over 30 minutes throughout the day, and that also counts. So just do it. Don't do it perfect. Do the best you can with the time you have, the energy you have, and like Deborah says, if you're not feeling great, and like I told you, those days I still go and I maybe do half my intensity or half my length or whatever. I listen to my body. I know I'm not cheating. I'm not like, unless I'm like just lying, I try to touch base. Am I trying to fool myself, or am I really not feeling good? If the answer is I'm not feeling good, then, you know, do what you can. I want to ask Deborah if you can post on the comments how the people that don't know you, how can they find you, and also post that in the recording so that you know, I don't know if you have anything you want to tell them or where they can find you, but I'm sure people are going to have more questions and after they love what you've heard, and then I'll share mine too.
Absolutely. So I just posted my website down
Okay.
here, and then I'm going to stop talking so that I can't type and talk at the same time. Hold on. So we've been doing yoga or foam rolling, something light, go figure, late in the afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific time, most days of the week, every day except for Wednesday. And I put the schedule on my Facebook page. So that's kind of open to the community. It's a give so that everybody is winding down, and I'm kind of practicing what I'm preaching. So even if you're new to yoga, I'm a technique whore. So I'm often just giving lots of tips about where you want to feel it, where's the weight, where you don't want to feel it. So you can join in and you'll feel like you've got lots of support. So whether you're experienced or not, they're short 20, 35-minute at most little sessions that you may enjoy.
That's awesome. I'm sure everybody will like it, and I'll copy it and post it. Now for me, I want to say that, as I said, my obsession is called healthy eating that feels like cheating. And so one of the things that you can follow me, I'll post my handles, but the main thing is I'm starting a new YouTube channel. It's still not public and it has no videos. I'm going to be launching 2 videos a week starting next week. And what I like, it always has to be, I said, if you remember what I said, if you paid attention, this is what you need to remember. I like tasty, I like fun. It has to be nutrient dense and good for you. But the other thing you don't know about me is that I'm lazy as far as like, I don't like very long extended recipes that have complications. For that, I have my super adoring husband. He's like a kitchen geek. He likes to do the very sophisticated recipes. I'm like, it has to be quick, fast, and good for you. And so that's what you will experience if you want. So if you want to be on my founders list and just subscribe to my channel with no videos, here's my link. I would love to see you. And then on the YouTube, if you subscribe and you want what I can send you, put me a comment and put me whatever, or message me in any of my social media. Here's my social media. If you want to get the list of all the foods I said, or you have any other questions that I can help you with answering, I would love to support you in any way. And you know, we may repeat this. So one of the other things you can say is you can send us either to Deborah or to me if there's any other topics you want us to go deep in, because I think there's so much more to talk, right? And it's just so fun that we've both gone through the same challenges. We're both passionate about good food, passionate about exercise, but now in moderation, which is good news, guys. When I was a professional, competitive triathlete, I was probably not as in good shape as I am now. Maybe I could do longer races. I don't think I could do like a full-on half Ironman now, but I was not. I think I'm better with less exercise now, so that's good news. You don't have to invest that much. You just have to do it smart, right?
So good. Absolutely true. So, and no matter where you are right now, you know, you take that status, you take what you're doing now and the information about how you're feeling, and there's a next step, and it's not a big one, it's a small one.
Yeah, so contact us anyway, and that we would love to support you. And thank you so much for listening, being part of this conversation. I think we've answered all your questions. And again, if we missed one, I am sorry. We will answer you separately, but don't keep your questions. We're here to support you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, control what you can and stay positive and feed yourself so we can survive these like very unprecedented, hard and challenging times. But we love you all and sending you positive vibes. Bye-bye.
Yes, goodbye. And Vicky, really quick answer. I would counter that and I would actually try to eat a few more carbs at night to help you sleep. But that's my input. All right. Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
guys. Bye-bye.